Hi, we're Matt and Mary Lamb, and we live in Costa Rica. We moved here about a month ago, and we get asked a lot, why did you move? Why did you move to Costa Rica? Well, we're lambs on the lamb, and this is our middle-class midlife makeover in Costa Rica. And today we want to talk about the reasons we moved to Costa Rica. And I gotta say, far and above, probably just for this reason alone, we would have moved, and that's daylight saving time. I just couldn't do it anymore.
It's just awful. We couldn't stand it.
Just kidding. First and foremost for us, it was financial. Mary and I had been laid off within a few months of each other. And even though we're living in Austin, Texas, and the job market's great there, I continually applied for over 6 months for jobs that
I think for you it was 9 months, and for me it was 6 months.
Yeah, that's right. And couldn't find anything. Mary finally, after 6 months, found a job, but she was making a fraction of what she had been making, less than half, I think.
It was 60%. I did the math.
Yeah.
60% of what I've been making.
So that's a big pay cut. And then my pay cut was 100% because I had been unemployed at 9 months at that point. We had some money squirreled away. And so I had had my CDL, commercial driver's license. So we bought a used 18-wheeler and started our own small trucking company to try and make ends meet. So I figured if nobody's going to hire me, I'll hire me, and I'll go out and use a skill that I have to help generate income. January of 24, I was involved in a serious accident where I was not at fault. Unfortunately, that destroyed the truck, destroyed my back, and I was not able to work for an entire year. So that's an extended period of time for us to be unemployed, underemployed, and waiting for surgery and then recovering for surgery, on my part.
Meanwhile, all of our expenses had stayed the same. We bought a house. We still had children in the home. Our mortgage, we still had our electricity bill. We still had all the things. We just didn't have any money coming in.
Right, and that was for quite a while, as I said. And then Mary just alluded to this, the cost of living in Austin, at least for us, I really felt like it's just gotten exorbitant, just excessively exorbitant. Price of housing in the last 5 years basically doubled. We certainly don't live in a nice neighborhood in Austin. It's not a bad neighborhood. I would call it very average, middle class, cookie cutter, 20-year-old, small suburban lots. Houses, we had a 4-bedroom house there because the 3 adult children were living with us, so it was pretty darn pricey.
Well, and I think also we had a very unique sort of window of opportunity. When we decided we were going to move, we were in a unique position because our youngest had just graduated high school and he was starting trade school in the fall, and both our parents had passed on, or both of my parents, both of his parents had passed on. And so we didn't have anyone really holding us in Austin anymore. We had no one we had to care for. And that's what keeps a lot of people where they are, is either they still have children in the home or they have aging parents that they have to care for.
I know, it certainly did for me with my parents. It kept me in San Antonio for almost 2 decades.
Right.
As they went through assisted living and then memory care and then final arrangements.
Right, absolutely. And so we don't have that anymore. We were in that just sweet spot of it's just us. And full disclosure, we've only been married 5 years. And so most people, when they get married, theoretically, they have this window of time where it's just the two of them and they haven't started having kids yet. And it's sort of this extended honeymoon period where they can just be themselves and learn about each other. We didn't have that here.
And we were married at the very beginning of 2020, and we all know what happened in March of 2020. So newly married, and then we're living with 3 adult children, the 2 of us, a large dog during a pandemic. So we got to spend a lot of time.
A lot of quality time together, but a lot of quality time with kids.
Right.
So the first time in our lives where we lived was not being determined by our obligations to someone else. We realized that we could live anywhere. So it was, as Matt is fond of saying, a real Matrix moment, and we chose the red pill.
Yeah. Before that aha moment of we can move anywhere, we were honestly thinking small of like, okay, well, we need to leave this house because the kids are going to be grown and gone, and we don't need a 4-bedroom, 2-story house for just the 2 of us. So, we're thinking about, let's move to Pflugerville. And Pflugerville is just a very small town north of Austin. It's essentially Austin. It's all Austin. And then, well, ooh, maybe Round Rock, which is the next tiny town just further north from
Which
Florida.
is where I was working, so that made sense.
Right. And then, I don't know, one day, kind of half joking, I said, well, hey, if we can live anywhere, why not Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Canada?
Because he visited there one time, like years ago, and thought, well, that would be nice.
Yeah, it was a cruise, and that was one of the reports. And so I was there for like 4 hours one day in the summer and thought, wow, this is the greatest place ever. So,
no offense to people in Halifax, I'm sure it's lovely.
yeah, I still think it's lovely.
Yeah.
And so, and that kind of, I think, kickstarted our thinking of, well, if we're thinking like really outside the box, like outside the States, what are some other things maybe we should think about?
Well, and I then piped up and said, listen, my biggest regret in college as a Spanish major was that I'd never spent a semester abroad. I don't think I knew any other Spanish majors that hadn't spent a semester abroad, and I'd always wanted to do it, and I always regretted that I didn't. So my 2 cents in this conversation was, I want to move to a Spanish-speaking country. So Halifax, sorry, you're not that.
And so I started looking south of the border into Central America because I'd heard some things about countries here, Panama, Costa Rica, obviously, Belize. A lot of countries down here are great places to live. And so I came across Belize, and the cost of living looked good, and did some research there. And after about a week of research, I kind of presented that to Mary, and Mary said,
They speak English there.
yeah, it's their national language is
Yeah,
English.
it's actually English. No, they speak Spanish as well because they're surrounded by Spanish-speaking countries. But yeah, I said, no, try again.
Strike.
Good try, babe.
So continued my research and came across Costa Rica, and everything started adding up for Costa Rica. Everything started checking the boxes. One thing I definitely wanted was a cooler climate, and Costa Rica has tons of that. Having been in Texas my entire life, I was just done with summers there. It's March, first week of March in 2025, and this week in Brownsville it was 101 degrees. Yeah, and it's just going to get hotter, and Austin's not far behind. So tired of the heat, so I wanted something cooler. And Costa Rica, if you live above 1,000 meters, you're going to stay cool year round, and that was very attractive for me, as well as what I'd researched on the cost of living and it being a Spanish-speaking country and having a large expat community. There's a lot of folks who've moved here from Canada, from the States, from England. Okay, so there you have it. Those are our 2 big reasons: financial, and number 2 is the golden window of opportunity that we had to be able to take this great adventure. Hopefully your financial situation is better than ours. This is a middle-class midlife makeover is what we call it, because we are very middle class. So we're trying to figure out how to do this affordably, not because we're wealthy, but maybe you are wealthy. That makes this whole transition a lot easier. And the golden window of opportunity, we realize that it's going to exclude a lot of folks, but you don't have to move here just because you have no other obligations. There are tons of families that come and bring their children who are in school and enroll them here and have great lives, very adventurous lives, raising their children in a foreign country.
And like Matt said, maybe your financial situation is different. Maybe you're retired and this would be your retirement adventure. Or maybe you're still young, you're kind of fresh out of college, you're single, or maybe you're married and you want an adventure before you get too settled in your life. Whatever the reason, we're here to help. So let us know in the comments what you think, why you're looking to move to Costa Rica, and we can help answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, we'd love to know what your thoughts are and what you think are your reasons why you might take this adventure, or why you won't, or are avoiding it or afraid to. So I think that's all we got. So
yeah,
thank y'all very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And check out our other video on pricing. Speaking of finances, we have a video that we just did recently on like grocery store shopping. What do prices look like here on the day-to-day and week-to-week items that you're going to need to purchase to stay and live here comfortably in Costa Rica?